Hello, my name is Maddie, and today I'm going to be talking about the history of Gyotaku. And the word represents Gyo is fish, Taku is rubbing. So what this is a form of printmaking where you apply ink to the fish, put paper on it, rub it, and then you get this impression and this picture of the fish, the actual fish, and all the details from it, if it's done correctly. And this method of art originated in Japan and all the way back in 1800s. And originally how this art technique came about is it wasn't even art in the first place. It was meant for keeping record of your catch and for things like contests for fishing. The Japanese fishermen would do these techniques, like do the printmaking on the boat and have that as the record of how big the fish was, other details about the fish, and how it's done, step-by-step process for the traditional way is you would catch the fish, clean it and dry it out, and this is done with applying salt to the fish. And then after it was dry, you would pin the fins up or however you'd like them for them to be preserved in that way. And then you would paint the fish with a certain type of ink. I don't remember what the original kind was called. That's the traditional way, but I know that it was just made out of like soot and water. And then you would paint that on the fish and then apply rice paper on top of it and apply pressure and like rub it a bit to make sure you get all the scales and fins. And this is the best way to really get all the details on the fish. And sometimes people, even now especially, you would paint it with different colors ink and really get the details of how the fish looked exactly. And that's why this type of art is really interesting, because I don't want to say it doesn't take skill, because it does, but pretty much anyone could do it and experiment with it, and it would be a really cool way of kind of taking a picture of the fish that you caught, and it would be actually exactly what your fish looked like, and you could keep that forever. And the best type of fish for this type of printmaking would be ones with really defined features and like rough scales and things, so you could really see the indents when you apply pressure to it with the ink. And an artist that I looked at for this was Dwight Huang, and he's a really notable artist. He has a lot of work in museums. He's having an art show in 2021 in Alaska displaying his work, and just really cool. And he practices the traditional methods of doing it, which I think it makes it better because it goes back to like his tradition and represents the culture really well. And you can see some photographs of all the work that he's done, and it's gone as far as like seahorses and octopus and squid, not even just fish now. And I'm sure that is a lot harder to capture what the squid looks like, since it doesn't have scales and it's so smooth. But yeah, he values the traditional Japanese culture and practices and really displays that in his work. But he finesses it a little bit more. And he lived in Japan for many years, and this is how he discovered this and how it came about. And he stated that he really wanted to capture these fleeting moments and things that really only happen once. Like the fish is only exactly how that was one time. There's only one fish like that. There's only one of everything in this world. So it's really cool to be able to capture that so perfectly with just applying ink and paper. And yeah, but he said that one of the original ways for this whole thing coming about, how Gyotaku actually started, was that people who couldn't necessarily speak Japanese or read it would be going to these food stalls and vendors, and they wouldn't be able to read what the producers were having that day or what fish was that day, so they would do this Gyotaku to be able to explain what was being sold that day to the people who couldn't speak Japanese or read it. And I think that was really interesting and makes a lot of sense. And yeah, and then it was also used for fishing contests originally, and being able to capture how big their fishes were to be able to win against other people. But yeah, that is the old Japanese style of printmaking for fish, Gyotaku. Thank you.